Hello everyone, welcome back to Classic Automotive Services. Right, this week we'll start off where we left off last week with the Saab. After talking to the customer, we actually decided to pull the plug on spending any more time on it, as there wasn't. He was aiming to sell the car, and he was going to run up a decent sized bill, which he wasn't going to get back when he comes to sell it. So it's one of them things. So we decided to pull the plug on it. We did get it running, and it did run actually very poorly. We think, well, after talking to the owner about the previous work it had done and what had been done to it, we're pretty sure that the cam timing was either at least one tooth, maybe two teeth out, and that's what was making it so it was reluctant to start, and just wouldn't, when it did run, it just wouldn't respond to any throttle. It just kept trying to cut out. Every time you touch the throttle, it was popping, banging. It just didn't want to know. So at that point, we decided to pull the plug on it, as there wasn't really a lot wrong with the carburetor. We checked all the ignition system and got decent spark and cleaned all the plugs. So at that point, it had to be something mechanical actually wrong with the engine. So that is now gone. So as you can see, we've got the engine out of the Lotus Esprit, and it is in quite a oily, sort of grimy mess. We've also got the gearbox along with it. Well, I should say transaxle, not gearbox, to give it this correct terminology. And the reason for pulling it out is because of the amount of jobs that we have got to do on it. Access inside the engine bay is extremely limited. One of the jobs we've got to do is replace cam belt, and apparently it can be done in the car. Personally, I don't see how it can be done properly in the car when the firewall is literally there. So how are you going to get to the tensioners, check all your timing marks are correct, so on, and know it's 100% right? It's going to be far easier doing it out the car. But that is only one of the jobs we have to do on it. Other jobs we've got to do are fix the oil leaks. This lower cam carrier is leaking. And what I mean by cam carrier is on the Lotus cylinder head, you've got the cylinder head from the block to the head there, and then there's a join here, which is the cam carrier. Then you have your rocket cam cover. It's actually leaking oil out of this joint along here, all the way along, covering this part of the engine, the whole side. So we're going to do cam cover gaskets, have the cam carriers off and reseal them. It's also going to have new little rubber bobbins on the carburetors, as they're perished and distorted. So we'll sort them out. And a really good clean-up, we'll recoat the cam covers. As looking at the finish, it should be like a wrinkle black with the tops sort of a machined finish. So we'll do that, make it look all nice and spectacular. And then just give it a good service, and it's ready to go back in. So yeah, the reason for pulling it out is due to the amount of jobs we have to do on it. And it's going to be far easier doing it on the stand, cleaning it all up on the stand, than it is trying to work in the engine bay, especially as the bodywork on the car is in such nice condition. We don't want to be working over the bodywork and potentially risk damaging the car, as it is really a long way into the engine bay and access is difficult. So I'll have all new belts on it as well, as in auxiliary belts, as they are actually loose. This one is loose. It has got some more adjustment on the alternator, but that one's tight, that one is loose. So we'll sort that out, check all the rubber hoses, replace the fuel hoses, as although they're quite soft and supple still, this one's too long, looks untidy because it's got a big dip in it, and two, they're not actually ethanol rated hoses. So we'll change them for the ethanol rated rubber. That's just future proofing it. And we're hopefully going to have it dry ice blasted before we start work on it. We've got a lot of stuff to get done. We're hopefully going to have the dry ice blasting done towards the end of next week. I've got to contact them the beginning part of the weekend to verify that. It is an expensive process after we've done some research into it, but one, we're curious to see how it cleans everything up in comparison to how long it'd take me, for example, to clean it up to the same level. So we're going to use it as an experiment, as we've got so much of it to do, just to see if it's actually viable for future projects. So it's not the end of the world if it isn't viable, because it's not an extortionate amount of money, but it is still a considerable sum. So we're going to get the engine, the gearbox done. We've got a TR8 engine to do. It's a spare TR8 engine sat over there, fuel injected engine. We're going to get the underside of the car done at the same time, as we'll get it on the lift, get it up, and they can do the underside of the car, so that's all nice and clean. And we're also going to get some other bits for another customer done. We're going to get the engine for the TR8 out and dry ice blast as well, just so it's clean to start working on, and the engine for this Volvo to get done first, because they're all very oily, very grimy, and if it's clean to start with, it's going to be nicer to work on and give us less work when we're stripping and checking parts and painting all the parts up. There's less risk of anything actually getting inside the engine, especially on the Volvo engine, as we're going to remove the sump and start checking bearings and things like that to see the condition of the engine. So it'll greatly reduce the danger of getting any debris into the engine that you don't want. So that's where we're up to with the Lotus. We've got some photographs of pulling it out, which was an experience trying to get to everything, especially because of where it is in the engine bay. You can't get an engine crane in there. There is, unless you lengthen the arm on the engine crane, which is then going to throw all the weight limits on the engine crane completely out the window and put extra strain on the crane. So that's not really a good idea, especially as you lift an engine over that distance. It could then topple the crane over. It's just, no, weren't going to go there. It's just too dangerous and could be quite costly if it goes wrong. So what we did, we ended up using the lift. So we lifted the arms of the lift up with the car underneath it and put the arms above the engine and then roped the engine up and then just lifted the engine slowly and rolled the car out from underneath it. So we've got some photographs and it worked an absolute treat. So that's where we're up to on the Lotus and the sub. We've been making some more progress on the Blue 7 shell. Started blocking all the primer down, as it is only its first stage of primer. So we're blocking it with long blocks and 400 grit abronets to get it nice and straight. As you can see, you've got some small breakthroughs where it had some high spots, which are no longer high spots now. It is nice and straight. And it will be getting another couple of light coats of primer just to reseal it, and then it'll be flatted, ready for paint. So that will make it so it is really nice and straight. And then we have another new arrival. As we mentioned before about the engine for this car, this is the Volvo. This is the engine over there. The car was at another place being restored, and the owner just wasn't happy with the quality of the work. And after seeing some of the work that has been done, I can see why. We'll have a look at it in a second. But it's a 1968 Volvo P1800S. So it's not bad, but it has got its small issues, which we can sort out. It's in for what I'd call a major restoration. So we're going to do all the bodywork on it and respray it, sort the engine out, paint the engine bay, and rebuild it. The interior on it, I have seen it, and it is in very nice condition. So we're going to stick with the original interior. Well, I say original, some of it's already been redone, but a while ago, and it does look very nice. And most of the trims and bright work are in nice condition as well, so they'll clean up and recondition and ready to go back on. But it has got some issues, one of which being it's got some rot on the inner wing. Inside the nose here, it's got a big hole here. If I put my hand through from this side, there we are. So we've got to sort that out. The other side isn't too bad. It's got a bit underneath the headlight, which we can sort out. It's got a few bits around the windows. Got a bit there and a bit on the other side around the window to sort out. And then the driver's door is quite a mess, but we've hopefully managed to source another door, as it's going to be quite cost effective it's going to be more cost effective to find another door, make it fit, than it is to repair that one, because the entire bottom's gone. It's all this fiberglass filler. So we've managed to source another door. Well, the owner's managed to source another door, and we can go from there. But this is the sort of standard of the work that was been done at the previous repair shop. If you have a look around this side, this is one of the repairs that they started doing. If you can just make it out, it's been welded through there, along there, up there, along there, and up there. It looks like it's got weld through there as well. And it's quite honestly awful, and it's completely the wrong shape. It comes across, gets to where they welded it. It looks to me like that should carry on sweeping round different. It gets to there, then kicks back down a little bit. It's completely the wrong shape on the curve. There's barely any lip for the rubber to go onto. It's just completely wrong. In fact, on the inside there is no lip. I'm not quite sure what's happened with that, as all that's been messed around with as well. So we're going to have to offer the screen in and see what shape it should be and sort that, as that is one part we are going to have to sort, because the screen just won't go back in with it as it is. So that's the Volvo. As you can see, there's quite a lot of work on it, but we will get it sorted, and it will be a lovely looking car, because I quite like these. They're a very stylish car. The dashboard is very stylish. There's a nice car, especially when they're in good condition. This one's got a way to go yet, but we'll get it there. And then we've also got White Stag. So this car was dropped off yesterday, and it's in for some electrical work. It's had a Rover 3.5 litre V8 fitted, and there's no way of putting it nicely. The electricals on it, all the wiring, have been butchered to do it, and it's now actually shorted out and done some damage. So when they've done the 3.5 litre conversion, they routed the battery lead in a completely an odd way, and it went through the front cross member, and it's chafed and shorted out, which has then caused damage to other parts of the loom. So we've got to rectify all that and get all the electrics back up and running, and go through and just make sure that all the connections are good. Everything that's been done so far, just either sort it out or check it's okay. And then we've got a couple of oil leaks to fix on it as well. It's an auto, so we've got to do the sump gasket on the gearbox, and the two rocker covers gaskets are leaking. So that's beginning part of next week's job. Little one's kicking up a bit of a stink. And then we've also got another Stag coming in. I believe it's Monday. I can't remember if I told the guy Monday or Tuesday. I'll have to check. To have his hood adjusted. He's bought a hood and frame from a company, a recon company that does hoods and frames. I've seen them before, and they very rarely fit. And this is one of them. He's put it on his car, and he can't get it to fit properly. So he's going to bring his car over, so we can see if we can get it so it's at least so it'll close and he can use it. But the chance of it fitting correctly is slim to none. The only way you can fit a hood on one of these is to actually get the hood cover off, fit the frame to the car, get the frame all adjusted correctly so it all works and locks down as it should, and then fit the cover to the car. It's the only way you'll ever get one fit 100%. But there are these companies doing these recon frames, and yeah, I've seen them so many times. I've seen them when they've even bent cars. When they've eventually got the car hood to shut on the car, it's tweaked the car and made the doors hard to open and close. So yeah, that's not good. But we'll see what we can do with it when it arrives. Hopefully we can make it so it's usable. But I have told the owner there's no guarantees that I'll be able to do anything with it. But he's going to bring it over. He's only local, so he's going to bring it over for us to have a look at. But I think other than that, we're pretty much up to date. Can't think of anything else. We'll put the pictures in of the engine coming out the Esprit and other stuff that we've been doing. Hopefully next week we'll be able to show you the results of the dry ice blasting, maybe even get a couple of little short videos of it being done. We'll have to speak with the guys when they get it, see if they're happy for that to be done. And we'll go from there. So please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.